What happens when faith becomes a routine rather than a relationship? What are the signs of a life or a faith without conviction? And what are the consequences? But most important, is there any way, is it possible to rebuild a life of faith when the foundation has been shaken? Welcome to our series about the journey of salvation. I'm so happy to have you today, and we go deeper about the story of the young girl that was shared in the previous episode. And I will advise you, if you haven't listened to the last episode that was posted last week Tuesday, to go and listen to it, because this episode is linked with the first episode, and it's about the story of a young girl that was raised in a Christian family and that was doing everything a normal Christian is supposed to do as activity, but she haven't built a relationship with God. So I will advise you, maybe this story will resonate with you or with someone that you know. That's why I will advise you to subscribe to the page if you haven't done it yet, to like this video and to share it. It can help someone. So as I was saying, it's the story of that young girl. She grew up in a Christian family, Sunday school, meditation in the house, prayer in the house, church maybe 3 times a week or even more, and she was involved in the activity in the church, but she haven't built that. She even got baptized, but without really knowing the impact of the action she was taking, the impact of what it means to be baptized. And she was now living a life, a faith without conviction, that makes her life vulnerable to struggle and challenges. And I want us to read the book of Matthew chapter 13. It will be our main verse for this part of the series. It's Matthew chapter 13 verse 21 that says, let's even say from verse 20, but he who receive the seed on stony places, this is he who hears the word and immediately receive it with joy, yet he has no root in himself, but endures only for a while. When tribulations and persecution arise because of the word, immediately he stumbles. And this, when we read this, we can connect it to the young girl. About some indicators of a faith without conviction. The first one will be external conformity without internal change. So the girl was living a life outside. You will see her and you will say, wow, this is a Christian, because she's in church, she was doing everything, but she didn't open herself to God to be changed internally. Her heart wasn't changed. This is the first indicators. You will see someone in church, you are doing everything, anytime you want someone, you are available. Maybe because you are someone that loves to serve, maybe because this is how you were raised and you find yourself there, but internally, there's nothing that have changed. The second indicator is no transformation of character. The girl went into water baptism that represents a new life. But when we listen to her story, there is nothing that have changed in her life. There's nothing. Instead, after some years, things became worse than before she got baptized, because there was nothing in her character. Nothing have changed. Nothing. The third point is dependence of others' faith rather than building a relationship or a fellowship with God. And this is where you will find people that are in church every time. Please pray for me. We have a program. I've heard that a great man of God is coming, and they are running from one church to another, for one person to another. When they have a challenge, they don't know how to go before God. They don't even know if when they are praying, God is listening to them, because they didn't build that relationship. So they are not even sure. And so when challenges and situation arises, they instead depend on the faith of others. As the young girl, she was depending on the faith of their parents. And at some point, the faith of her parents was covering her. But at some extent, it was not possible, because when you grow up and you take the decision, or you are already at the age to someone that can be baptized, then you have to start building that relationship by yourself. And the other point, is easily moved by circumstances. The young girl make herself vulnerable to any temptation that was coming, because she wasn't rooted. So anything that was coming, the door was open to affect her. And this is how you find those people that are good, that had things in their heart, something that happened many years ago. They can remind you everything, and they will tell you how they have heard, how people in church or how people around them are not good. So they are carrying many things in them because they are vulnerable. Their level of faith, the fact that their faith is not a faith based on conviction, they are vulnerable. And the last point I pointed is easily convinced by human philosophy. Like the younger, you see, when the boyfriend, she knew that commit an abortion is a sin, it's not good. But immediately the boyfriend came and started arguing and telling her, please do it for me, by love for me. This is how she found herself in the table and having abortion, knowing that this was wrong. So they are easily convinced by human philosophy. They don't stand by themselves. Anything that comes, just shake their opinion. In front of people, you will see them talking, oh, this is good, this is how a child of God have to do and everything. But when the challenge just come in front of their door, everything they were saying, they are no more able to apply it for themselves. They easily change their mind. They easily derive of the right way. So as I was talking, we can see the same indicators in the life of Judas Iscariot in the Bible. You can read the story of Judas Iscariot in the book of Matthew in the Bible. But at the same title of all the other disciples that impacted the world, and we can read the story and how they minister and serve God in the Bible. At the same title, Judas Iscariot was called as a disciple of Jesus. He was walking with Jesus. He was eating with Jesus. They were sleeping together. They were doing everything at the same title as the other disciples. But there was no change in the life of Judas. Why? Because he refused, didn't saw the need for him to find a transformation, to develop the relationship with Jesus. And this is how, when the first opportunity came for him to betray Jesus, he found himself, because of gain, because of some coins, it find himself betraying Jesus. And one thing I want to say is that the same thing that you are doing with your life, when your life doesn't belong to you, God has created you, and He has created you for a purpose. So as long you are using that body, as long you are using your life to live as you want, know that it's a betrayal to Jesus. It's a betrayal to God, because it's the same thing that Judas Iscariot did. It's the same thing. Now, what are the consequences of a life or a faith without conviction? Let's see it. The first one is spiritual weakness. You know the truth and you cannot stand for it. You know it, you recite it, you can say it to people, but you cannot stand for it. And that's why it was easy for the boyfriend of the girl to convince her. The second consequence I pointed is vulnerability to deceptions. When someone says something, you directly think that they are talking to you. The third point is emptiness and dissatisfaction. So this young girl was empty. She was empty. That's why she reached the point that she started falling into depression, because she was not having something to stand on it. She was not having that fellowship. She was not having nothing. And the fourth appointed is the lack of fruit. When you find yourself in a faith without conviction, there's no fruit you are bearing. You can check on your life. You will say you gave your life to Christ since you were 10, since you were 9, since you were 15, since you were 20. But you find yourself, if they ask you, what have you brought? What have been, even in your own life, what have been the change? There's no fruit that you bear for yourself. There's nothing that you can stand and you say you are happy that you gave your life to Christ because you were able to do this for Christ. You were able to bring a soul. You were able to build this in the house of the God. You were able to, because yourself, you are not even satisfied. Even if you are singing in the choir, even if you are in the media, or you are in the Sunday school, or whatever you are doing it, but you are empty. And the last point was risk of falling away. And this is what happened to the young girl. At the end, she started questioning God. At the end, she started saying to herself, God doesn't love her. Jesus doesn't love her. Is it even true that he exists? Because when I was going through all these challenges, where was he? And this is the consequence of a faith without conviction. You find yourself at that point. And it was the same thing for Judas. When Judas came at a point after he betrayed Jesus, after he finished to spoil his life, he was thinking that he was gaining money. But when he finished to betray Jesus, he became guilty. He went and gave back the money, but there was no way to come back. At that time, thank God for Jesus Christ. Today there is hope. But how was his end? He went and killed himself. And this is the end for someone that has a faith that is not built in conviction. This is how you can find yourself at the end when you are living a life, a faith that is not built in conviction. Now, let's pause and reflect. I want you to, after you have listened to me, I want you to go back. Try to look in your life, my dear girl. Try to look in your life, my dear woman. What is happening? Have you ever found yourself in that motion of doing things in the house of God just by following others, not by conviction, just to do it, maybe because you were born in the Christian family as that young girl, or because you were following a friend in church and this is how you find yourself in church, or because maybe you even at a point in your life took that decision to serve Jesus and got baptized, but you just lost yourself along the way and you are asking yourself questions. After reflecting and asking yourself this question, and if you find yourself in one of the indicators of a life, a faith without conviction, I want you to write in the comments, I want to change. It's not a time to be ashamed of your life. The good thing is that there's a hope of change. There's a possibility of change. And I want you to write in comment, I want to change. And if there's a story, there's something, you have been through many things and you maybe want to share it and understand how you can start also, or how you can wake up from where you are fallen. You can write to us privately and we can attend to you and we can discuss together. Now, is it a possibility to rebuild? Is it a possibility to change? Is it a possibility to rebuild that relationship with God? This will be the topic of the next episode. When you say those magic words, I accept you as my Lord and personal Savior. What does it mean? When you go into the water baptism, spiritually, physically, what does it mean for you? This is what we will talk about in the next episode, and I invite you to like this video, to share it, to comment, and if you have been touched, if you find yourself or you know someone that is struggling with her life spiritually and you want to help the person, share the video with the person, ask the person to contact us, and we will do a follow-up and we have a time of coaching with the person. Thank you for watching. May God bless you, and I will pray for someone that is struggling with her life, and I will say, God, meet that young girl. She's struggling with her faith. She has been lost along the way. It can happen for a reason or another. Don't feel yourself guilty. Refuse to be guilty, because this is what the devil will try to do with you now. Refuse to be guilty, and refuse also the pride, because sometimes you will listen and the devil will put it in you. Why do you think that I am not? When you find yourself, when you see, when you know inside of you that this is what you are struggling with. So refuse to fall in that trap of pride. And if you find yourself in one of the indicators of that life, I pray for you and I say, God, is possible for you to change that life. It's because of that beautiful and young girl that you came. It's because of that woman that you died on the cross of Calvary. And there is a possibility for her to build that relationship with you. And so, Father, speak to her heart. Speak to her heart now. Let your voice, let the voice of the Holy Spirit be louder than any other voice that used to speak to her. And let her understand the stage of her faith, and let her take that decision to build that relationship with you. May God bless you. See you in the next episode next week. Bye.